Huh, weird. Showing up.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Mystery. Oh well.
Well, that's peculiar and disappointing. Oh well.
Yeah. That is how it goes.
I will detach a cable.
Yeah. You participants stay in it. Participants remain themselves like mission. Oh gosh. So it looks like someone's gonna have to admit participants.
That's fine.
Yeah. You'd be able to do that? Cool. So you'll just kind of glance at the screen every now and then and click the admit button.
Because sometimes people drop off and then have to come back in and stuff like that.
Exactly all that.
Is there anybody I'm not supposed to admit?
Nah.
Some do this yesterday or last week. Although I'm going to do this so that I can. You don't, I'm gonna not allow notifications
Sure.
because you don't need notifications coming on in the middle of all of this.
Sure. Great.
For me. You okay with, do you need a little more close? Do you need a little closer to this so you're not quite,
Hey everyone, we're just finishing setting up over here.
quite so strung out?
Yeah. Good. Okay. All right. So can everyone hear me all right? Can you give me a thumbs up? Awesome. Hey, Margaret.
Hi, Jōshin.
Yeah, really nice.
Nice to see you.
We this week the Oak residents and guests and apprentices are on retreat, so it's just me and our friends Chucky and Renee over here. So they're helping out with the tech very kindly, so it's not just me trying to fiddle with Zoom while I also lead an event. And it's really nice to see you. Nice to be together, both with people in actual physical space and with you. Nice to be connected in this kind of modern way.
Well, if it wasn't for this modern way, I wouldn't have seen you for ages.
Exactly.
I'm okay with it. I'm seeing people I would never see on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And really appreciate it.
Yeah, really. Yeah. So, I thought that just to keep with my usual pattern, we'd start with a little bit of practice. So let's go ahead and begin. I'll offer a bit of guidance and ring the bell. Take a little bit of time to explore posture and breath. Allow the posture of your body to move around and allow that movement to help you explore the breath. Connect with the breath. And allow the breath to help you explore posture. Let the in-breath and out-breath move you around, connecting with your body. The nice thing about the breath in the body is that they aren't what we expect. They aren't what we prefer. They aren't what we think. In that way, they're a reprieve from preferences, expectations, thinking. Just stay with this moment, breath and body. Allowing any thoughts to arise as they naturally will. And using the breath and body as a way to connect with and move through them. By returning to the body, the breath, these thoughts are allowed to come and go freely. In this way, mind, body, breath, all just one dance. If we're talking about dance, one question that we can ask is, who or what leads the dance? We might explore this question. of these three different types of experience: breath, body, mind. Moment by moment, which one of those seems to be in charge? Which one of those is leading and which are the rest following? Is it that the body leads, breath follows, mind follows? Is it that the breath leads, body follows, mind follows? Is it that the mind leads? We come up with an idea and then the breath and the body follow? Without any particular preference, we can just ask this question and explore it moment by moment. Whatever answer we get, we let go of that answer by attending to this moment of experience. It may seem as though the mind leads, for example, and yet if we look at it more closely, we see that it isn't that way. Actually, the breath leads, the mind follows. Looking at it more closely, we say, actually no, the mind leads. The mind is in charge right now, the breath and the body are following. Yet, the next moment comes, unplanned, unpredicted. We'll continue to explore this. Maybe that there's no clear leader, just a dance. Everyone's following everyone, no one's in charge. If so, great. Continue to explore it. Maybe that we start to become uncertain about what these labels actually refer to. In the sense that there was this breath, body, mind, three different things, one of them in charge. Yet as we look more closely, we see it isn't so easy to find a difference, to draw a line. Where does mind stop and breath and body begin? All of this is being perceived by mind. Where does breath stop and mind begin, body begin? And feel this breath rippling and flowing through our whole body, our whole mind. Perceive it in every thought. What is body? Where is body? With a sense, body. Can we find it? Let's explore this. Explore it directly. So today I thought that we might talk a little bit about certain Buddhist text, get back into our groove of working with this tradition's works. And I selected this particular text, the Anāthapiṇḍika Sutra after careful consideration for many different reasons. So we will spend somewhere between a half hour and a couple of years on this text. I don't know exactly how long yet, but it would be appropriate to do either of those extremes and anywhere in between. It's a very deep text. There is a lot in it. It's sort of a comprehensive and rather advanced description of the path from the Buddhist perspective in any case. But I thought I'd start off with just a little bit of an overview. So the setting of the text, the sutra, this Anāthapiṇḍika Sutra, is in, as the texts very often are, they all begin in the same way with this sort of phrase describing where the Buddha was. So it's in this place called Savatthi, this ancient Indian town or village or city or something, I'm not exactly sure which at the moment, and a place called Jeta's Grove in Anāthapiṇḍika's park. So the Anāthapiṇḍika there is the Anāthapiṇḍika that this sutra is referring to in its title. The sutra is about a certain lay follower of the Buddha named Anāthapiṇḍika. It focuses on a particular chapter in his life. In fact, it focuses on the last chapter in his life. So the sutra takes place at the time that Anāthapiṇḍika, who is the Buddha's chief patron, chief male patron, the male supporter of the Buddha, the foremost among all those supporters of the Buddha who were men. This is a time when Anāthapiṇḍika is sick, suffering, gravely ill, and dying. So it's no coincidence that this text starts off with this setting. Jeta's Grove, Anāthapiṇḍika's park. And at one time, the Blessed One was dwelling in Savatthi, and Jeta's Grove, Anāthapiṇḍika's park. Because Anāthapiṇḍika was the individual who gave the Buddha the place where most of the discourses in the Pali Canon took place. If you read through the Pali Canon, the classical texts of Buddhism, there's some 12,000 pages or so. There are many, many sutras. I don't know exactly what the number is. Many, if not most, I think probably most, and certainly many, begin there. Many of them take place at that location, at that setting, Anāthapiṇḍika's park. So we see here in the opening of that sutra already a demonstration of the thing that we trying to cultivate in this path. We at CEDAR, Community for the Experience and Development of Awakening and Responsibility, are working on integrating experience and development of awakening and responsibility. So this awakening is what was realized by the Buddha. The Buddha went forth, strived, struggled, practiced for a long time, and eventually broke through to a true Dharma, a true teaching that could benefit many people. And having done so, having realized, having experienced awakening and developed it, he went forth into the world, went back into the world, you might say, and at some point met this individual named Anāthapiṇḍika, who was moved to offer him a place, offer him somewhere to teach. So Anāthapiṇḍika had, while the Buddha was striving in that way, cultivating the path of awakening, Anāthapiṇḍika had been cultivating the path of responsibility. of service to the world, of work in the world. He had, in fact, been a merchant, wealthy, powerful, very skilled, and as a result of that, it accumulated quite a lot of wealth. He was very wealthy. The amount of gold that's given is hard to understand in today's terms, but you could say he was maybe a billionaire or something like that. He was a very wealthy individual, and he, on meeting the Buddha, realized that he wanted to bring that awakening into the world. He wanted to support the Buddha's teaching. He met the Buddha and made a true heart-to-heart connection with this individual and realized, tasted the teaching that the Buddha had to offer. Having tasted it, he then gave the Buddha a place. So the Buddha had certain parameters for a monastery, a place of training, needed to be close enough to a city that you could interface with the people in it, you could connect with them, far enough away that the noise wasn't an issue, that they weren't going to be attacked by robbers or something, needed to be surrounded by nature. There are various other requirements, and it's actually quite moving to see those requirements, for me anyway, in reading the texts that describe this transaction. Because it's very well thought out. Having done the training for a number of years, it's moving to see it put so well, what you need in order to do this well. And so Anāthapiṇḍika said, okay, great. I'll go and find a place with those requirements. And he went around and he eventually came to this certain prince, Jeta, Prince Jeta, who had this massive tract of land that was just perfect. It would be a fantastic place to do the training, met all the requirements. So Anāthapiṇḍika went to Jeta and said, I'd like to buy this land. I'd like to buy this land from you so that I can give it to the Buddha. And so Prince Jeta responded by saying, I don't really want you to do that. Please don't do that. I really like this land a lot, so I'm going to keep it. Anāthapiṇḍika pressed him though. He said, no, I really want to buy. I think this would be really good for this use. What's the price? Do you have a price? I bet there's a price. Prince Jeta responded by saying, well, okay, tell you what. If you cover every square inch of this land with gold, then I will give it to you. You give me enough gold that every square inch of all of these, however many acres of land, is covered with gold, then you can have it. It was sort of a joke, you know. He wasn't, I don't think he was really serious about this. It was kind of like a go away offer. And Anāthapiṇḍika said, all right, sure. And he went and got however many truckloads or elephant loads full of gold and brought them over and covered that whole place, that whole park with gold. It's unclear exactly how densely packed it was, whether it was literally every square inch or something a little bit more relaxed than that. It's unclear, but in any case, he did it, except for this little grove at the front. He didn't have enough gold for this little sort of entryway grove. And so he was about to go and ask for another truckload to come, given something like 3/5 of his total accumulated wealth already. He was going to bring the next truckload to fill up this grove. And then Prince Jeta said, actually, no, tell you what, I'll take it. I'll take the gold that you've given so far, and I will give you this land. And the grove at the front will be my gift, will be my donation to you. You can use it, and we'll just call that Jeta's Grove. So in that way, Prince Jeta became immortalized, or at least memorialized, maybe not immortalized. The Buddha's teachings will die out at some point, but in any case, memorialized. And there's a strong argument that interaction, between Anāthapiṇḍika, Prince Jeta, and the Buddha. Looks like there's another person. That interaction is the reason that we have heard of Buddhism. There's a strong argument to be made that that interaction is the reason that Buddhism is something that people now today in the world know about and practice and teach. Because we like to think about it in terms of this sort of pure state of mind, this pure awakening. We have the sense that if I just break through to the truth, the ultimate, imperturbable, unmovable, eternal truth, then that is going to be enough. And then somehow I'll bring that into the world just on its own side. And yet, we see that in order to function in the world, you have to have this worldly component. The teaching has to be supported by the world. The teaching isn't supported by the world, then the teaching just sort of falls off of the world. There needs to be a relationship there, a connection there. And so it's highly significant that this sutra and many others in the canon begin in the way that they do, sort of demonstration of the path. So, okay, so we have this setting. The Buddha is dwelling at Anāthapiṇḍika's park in Jeta's Grove in Savatthi, and he hears a report that the householder Anāthapiṇḍika is sick. He's suffering, he's gravely ill. He's racked by pain, tormented. And so he's sent a messenger forth to the Buddha to say, hey, could you send someone over and help me out? Would it be possible for someone to come over here and offer a teaching of some sort that might help me in this situation? And so the Buddha says, sure. He's actually requested the Buddha's chief disciple, Shariputra. And so the Buddha sends Shariputra. So Shariputra then goes to Anāthapiṇḍika and says, hey, Anāthapiṇḍika, I hope you're doing all right. I hope your pain's getting better, not worse. I hope the decrease and not the increase of your suffering is apparent. And Anāthapiṇḍika replies, no, it isn't getting better. It's getting worse. And the increase, not the decrease of my suffering is apparent. This is really bad. He talks about it. He says, it's as though someone were tightening a belt around my head and pulling it taut. It's as though fierce winds are sweeping through my body. It's as though my bowels are getting carved out by knives. He just describes this horrific pain and suffering that he's going through. And Shariputra now is in the position of having to offer a teaching to him. Shariputra now, out of compassion, kindness, love, care, is in the position of somehow offering something to Anāthapiṇḍika that will work. This is, again, highly significant. We as we collectively have over the past year, need to face the reality, the truth of sickness, suffering, dying, and death. We have to see clearly that that is something that's going to happen to everyone we love. In fact, that's something that's going to happen to us. You see that we ourselves are not immune from sickness, suffering, dying, and death. And seeing this, we realize that we need to have some way of moving through that. We realize that we have to have some way of moving through that. We're going to get sick. It's going to be really bad. And then it's going to get worse. And then we're going to die. And we just find ourselves with the question, what is to be done about that? What should we do about that? What can we do about that? I have a sense that a lot of the time when we hear about this sort of thing in the context of, say, Buddhism or spirituality, there's the sense, well, it's kind of just Buddhism's evolved mimetic marketing campaign or something like that. Buddhism has this line, You're going to die, everything is impermanent, and therefore you should practice and cultivate this path. I have the sense Buddhism is just trying to sell us Buddhism. But in my experience, it isn't like that. Buddhism is trying to bring us to the realization of where we actually are. It's bringing us to the point of facing the fact that we are in this situation of dying. We actually are in that situation. That it isn't so much about any particular doctrine, any particular dogma, any particular belief, idea, any particular teacher, school, method, or strategy, but just the simple, basic fact that that is where we are, and we need to live our lives accordingly. I have to find some way of moving through that. I have to find some way of moving through suffering. I have to find some way of moving through sickness, some way of moving through death. What we find is not necessarily something from any particular framework or tradition. When we're truly humbled, when we're stuck in that position, when we're facing suffering and there's no way out of it, that is the time when we get to find out if anything works. That's the time when we get to find out what works. How do you move through suffering? How do you resolve this great matter, this issue, this problem of suffering, illness, death? My experience at a time like that, surprisingly, everything works. In a time like that, when you really need something to work, when you really, really need something to work, when you're in that level of pain, that level of suffering, that level of confusion, and you have to get out, you have to have an answer, everything works. My own experience, not that this is in any way impressive, again, as I think I've said before, in any way unique, in any way special. It's just my own experience, and so it's the one I can talk about. My own tiny little version of this, my micro version of death, suffering, pain, illness, confusion. I found that basically every technique from any tradition worked. And the reason it worked is just that I needed it to work. I needed something to work. So for example, I, on this past solo retreat, spent some time doing parts work from modern psychology. I had these various experiences coming up, these senses of I'm helpless, I'm hopeless, I can't do it, I'm bad, I'm wrong. And I just started talking to those parts and relating to them as though they were people who were here with me. And I found that that actually worked. I could make progress on those issues. I could resolve the stuckness. I could allow those experiences to flow. Found that the research, the work that Leverage Research had done, certain organization that we partnered with last summer for a few months, I found that that worked. I could just use the techniques that they came up with and actually make progress on the issues that I was facing. Found that noting worked. If I use noting meditation practice, if I stay with the breath and I note experience as it comes and goes, that works. I can move forward, I can make progress. I found that prayer works. I found that if I humble myself and pray to God or to the trees or to the spirits or the ancestors, that works. Pick up the Bible and read it, and that works. Everything works. It all worked. It worked because, again, to whatever extent, to whatever small extent this was true for me, I wasn't in denial about the basic direction that this was going to go and the basic issue that was happening, basic issue I was facing. is that when we finally turn around, we stop fighting against nature. We stop saying, yeah, I don't really want to get sick. Tell you what, God, is there a way that I can't get sick? How can I do this path and not get sick? You say, I don't want to suffer. I don't want to have to deal with this helpless, hopeless, annoying experience of a person that I'm having right now. Is there a way I can not have that experience? Is there a way I can not be sick? Is there a way I can not age? Is there a way I can not die? Is there a way I can last forever? Is there a way I can just keep on going forever? Can I do that? God, how can I do that? When we stop doing that, when we stop fighting against nature, we stop saying no to this experience, we stop saying no to where we are, the whole universe is on our side. We say, okay, this is it. This is my life now. I'm going to have this experience and then I'm going to die. I'm going to experience this moment of suffering and then I'm going to die. And that's just how it's going to be. When we face and acknowledge that deeply and truly, everything in the entire universe is on our side. There isn't a way to be mistaken anymore. There isn't a way to be wrong anymore. Even if we're wrong, that isn't wrong. We just have the experience of being wrong. We face that experience. We're delusional. We face the experience of being delusional. We see this is delusional. That's delusion. This is suffering. Oh, geez. Face it. Just give one small example. I was sitting, and very often I sit in full lotus these days for whatever reason. I don't really know why, I just do. And for a long time, I'd cultivated the habit of stretching my legs anytime there got to be a certain level of pain. And there would get to be a certain level of pain at pretty precise intervals. So it'd get to be a half hour of sitting or an hour of sitting. And I would feel a little bit of pain in my legs. And then I would say, oh no, this is pain. That's terrible. I can't deal with this. Uncross my legs. Half hour passes or an hour passes and it's just nope. And even after a lot of practice, after years of practice, and even after having worked through a lot of the issues around that pain, still somehow there's this sense I can't keep going. Gotta stop. And so this perception, it kept on feeding and feeding and feeding for a long time. So it became this sense of just, there's no way forward, there's no way out. I'm just going to have to uncross my legs. That's how it's going to be. And so there came to be a certain time on this past training period where that, for whatever reason, was untenable, it was unacceptable. Couldn't do it. Had to break through that. I, again, don't really understand why right now. I don't understand the state of mind I was in that had to break through that, you understand. But there I was, and I had the sense, just have to do something about this now. I have to face this now. And so I'm sitting, and I'm sitting, and I'm sitting, and then the thought arises, oh, there's so much pain, I gotta move. And then the thought arises, oh, I'm helpless, I have to follow that thought, there's no choice. I'm the kind of person who always follows that thought is in charge of my life, and that's just how it will always be forever. And then I just have to respond somehow. You understand? Those experiences come. I just have to respond. I don't know how I'm going to do it. And so just out of nowhere, just say, ow, 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 it hurts. Ow, it hurts. Oh, it hurts. Ah, it hurts so much. Hurts, it hurts, it hurts, it hurts. And I just start repeating that. It hurts, it hurts, it hurts over and over again. In that way, face this experience of pain. Just face the fact that I'm not immune to pain. I'm not invulnerable. I'm not invincible. I'm a frail, delicate, fragile being with a body that hurts. And this experience of pain hurts. no longer rejecting the experience that I was having right then. This sense of I have to be immune to the pain, otherwise I'm a bad meditator. I have to be beyond pain, otherwise I can't help anyone. I have to be free from pain, and I'm not, and that's a big problem, and so I have to get out of here. Just face it. I'm in pain, and that hurts. And in facing that, just accept it. Accept that there's pain. This body hurts. It's so precious, so fragile, so frail. It's going to die very soon. And facing that, at that moment, facing that, there was no longer the sense, I need to be immune to pain, otherwise I'm bad and wrong. And as a result of that, there is no longer a sense, you need to be immune to pain, otherwise you're bad and wrong. So often in the world, we run away from an experience. We say no to an experience, and then we meet people who are having that experience. And we say, you're bad and wrong for having that experience. Especially if we're meditation teachers, we have to carefully examine this. Someone comes to us and they're sick, they're suffering, they're gravely ill. How do we respond? What's our first thought? What's the first moment of response? If we haven't resolved that in ourselves, if we haven't given up our resistance to that ourselves, then our response is going to be, you're bad and wrong. In that first moment, we're going to look at them and we're going to hate them. We're going to say, you're coming to me with an experience that I don't want to deal with. Because I don't know how, because I can't. You know, these three senses. I don't want to deal with this. I don't know how to deal with this. I can't deal with this. As a result of that, we hate them. Just for a moment. And then after that, we bring forth compassion. We say, oh, I love you. You should focus on body sensations. But people aren't stupid. We know. You can tell. Someone comes to you and or you go to someone and they have that first momentary response. We already kind of know. There's already this clear sense. Okay, you can't really help me with this. I'm gonna help you now. I'm gonna help you deal with that experience that you're having. I'm putting this sick person in the position of helping you deal with your aversion to sickness and pain. Instead of that, we face this. We face this problem. We face this suffering deeply and truly. And as a result of that, we're able to teach. As a result of that, we're able to love everyone who comes to us. To the extent that we've done that, to the extent that we've had this experience truly, the extent that we've had this experience fully, we're able to be of service. We're able to connect with others in this experience and demonstrate the direct resolution to suffering. It was very helpful that this text begins in that way. It talks about this high stakes situation. Anāthapiṇḍika is at the end of his life. He's about to die. So the question then is, how does Shariputra respond? What is the teaching that Shariputra offers to this individual, to this person who has for so long in such a loving way supported the Buddha and the teaching, the Dharma, and the Sangha, the practitioners, the community around which, within which the Buddha teaches. So we may come to that next week. Okay, fine. I'll give you, all right, fine. I'll just give you a sort of taste. So I'm not going to explain it very much, but to give you a little bit of a taste. So Anāthapiṇḍika says, I'm not getting well, I'm not comfortable, my painful feelings are increasing, not subsiding. Their increase and not their subsiding is apparent. Just as if a strong man were splitting my head open with a sharp sword, so too violent winds cut through my head. Just as if a strong man were tightening a tough leather strap around my head as a headband. There are violent pains in my head. Just as if a skilled butcher or his apprentice were to carve up an ox's belly with a sharp butcher knife, violent winds are carving up my belly. Just as if two strong men were to seize a weaker man by both arms and roast him over a pit of hot coals, so too there is a violent burning in my body. He's really suffering. And so Shariputra then responds, then in that case, householder, you should train thus. I will not cling to the eye, and my consciousness will not be dependent on the eye. I will not cling to the ear, and my consciousness will not be dependent on the ear. I will not cling to the nose, and my consciousness will not be dependent on the nose. I will not cling to the tongue, and my consciousness will not be dependent on the tongue. I will not cling to the body, and my consciousness will not be dependent on the body. I will not cling to the mind, and my consciousness will not be dependent on the mind. Thus you should train. And it continues, I won't cling to forms, so what you see with the eye. I won't cling to sounds. I won't cling to odors. I won't cling to flavors. I won't cling to tactile objects, bodily experience. I won't cling to thoughts. My consciousness will not be dependent on thoughts. Continues, I won't cling to eye consciousness. I won't cling to ear consciousness. I won't cling to nose consciousness. I won't cling to tongue consciousness. I won't cling to body consciousness. I will not cling to mind consciousness, and my consciousness will not be dependent on mind consciousness. So this consciousness, this eye consciousness, is just the awareness of the eye. So if the eye, so you have your eye, your sense organ, it sees a form. Something is aware of that. That is eye consciousness. You have the ear, your ear hears a sound. Something is aware of that. That is ear consciousness. So on with the tongue, the nose, the body, and also the mind. You have a thought, you have a mind, you have a thought. Something is aware of that, and that is mind consciousness. This is saying your consciousness will not be dependent on mind consciousness. It's getting tricky. And it just kind of keeps going in that way. Shariputra just names thing after thing after thing, experience after experience after experience. It says, all of that, don't cling to any of that. It says, don't cling to anything, anywhere that can be found in any way. He says, for example, I will not cling to consciousness, and my consciousness will not be dependent on consciousness. What? What is it? What? This is something that we have to carefully examine. Each of those descriptions is actually referring to something in experience. There's actually something there that corresponds to all of that, to all the things that Shariputra talks about Anāthapiṇḍika not clinging to. There's actually something there, and we can, through practice and training, come to the point when we're so clearly attending to experience that we discern that we observe that we see that. We see that there is such a thing as the eye. We notice after much training and practice, oh, there's the eye. This it isn't the physical eye so much as it is the neural apparatus or the sense organ, maybe the retina, the part of sensory experience that receives forms, that receives visual experience. That actually exists. We notice that is a phenomenon that we can attend to. The ear, the nose, the tongue, the body, the mind, these all are phenomena that we can attend to. We notice that there's such a thing as forms, as visual input, sounds, audio input, there's odors, there are flavors, there are body sensations, there are thoughts. We can attend to these. There's consciousness of all of these things. We can attend to that. There is the moment of contact, the moment when a form meets the eye and consciousness arises. We actually can attend to that moment, and so on with the others. And so Shariputra's instructions are simply, don't cling to any of that. Don't rely on any of that. Don't trust any of that. Don't establish yourself in any of that. Don't expect any of that to be a source of safety or happiness or joy. Don't look for stability, safety, freedom, peace in any of those directions. Oh, that's the teaching that he offers. This total lack of anywhere to establish ourselves. Total lack of anywhere to place our trust. That's the teaching he offers. And that experience is the one that we are avoiding. That experience, that sense of nothing in any direction being safe, nothing in any direction supporting us, nothing in any direction being trustworthy. That's the one that we are unwilling to have. That's the one that we avoid, that we say no to. Because of saying no to it, we cause lots of problems for ourselves and others in the world. All I can say is that to taste that experience for even a moment, to have that experience for even one day, is far greater happiness, a source of incomparably more fun and joy than to avoid that experience for any number of years. To fight against that experience for any number of years is not as good as to have that experience for one moment. That's all I can say about that. So, let's spend a little bit of time now practicing. Thank you for listening to all of that jumble, that connection, that happiness, that confusion, and we'll move back into practice or continue with practice as the case may be. Once again, let's begin with this body and breath. Coming back to or continuing with the dance that we were exploring at the beginning. This flow, this movement, this connection, this dance between body, breath, and mind. Starting off with the body, aligning our posture so that we are sitting in a way that's stable, relaxed, grounded, rooted into the earth, and also alert, upright, extending up towards the sky. In particular, exploring this point of opening space between the heart, the solar plexus, and the tailbone, the sacrum. So that our heart moves up and forward a little bit, and our tailbone tucks under a little bit so that there's room in our belly for the breath. Having done that, we allow this breath to inform, fill, and engage with our body. To meet this moment's breath and allow it to correct, adjust, dance with, play with our posture, our body. And using this very body and breath, anchoring our awareness within this breath, within this body, returning to it again and again and again. We purify, dance with, play with, engage with this moment's mind, this moment's thought. In particular, we train so that our breath allows us to not cling to this moment's thought. Returning to the breath of this moment, we don't push or pull so much on this moment's thought. We don't say, yes, this thought is mine, this thought is me, this thought is safety, this thought is happiness. We don't say, no, this thought is evil, this thought is bad, this thought is wrong. We don't say, oh, well, I'll just collapse into this thought and lie down and wallow in it for a little while. We don't say, oh no, I have to freak out and get rid of this thought. And for us, most significantly, we don't buy in. We don't believe. We don't become confused regarding the empty nature of this moment's thought. We train in that way, exploring how to do that, how to return to the breath, stay with the breath, so that this thought arises more and more freely, arises unhindered, unstuck, unfabricated, unmanipulated. To train, to practice, to cultivate, to explore means that we will spend some time missing. We will spend some time buying into this moment's thought. We will spend some time grabbing onto this moment's thought. We will spend some time fighting with, pushing away this moment's thought. We will spend some time wallowing in this moment's thought. We'll spend some time freaking out about this moment's thought. We'll learn gradually through practice and cultivation how to do this dance. like we're practicing sport, say tennis, and we're just going to hit the ball over and over again. We'll hit the ball into the net, and 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 we'll hit the ball and it'll go over the net. And then we'll hit the next ball into the net. Or some of you may be programmers, it's like you're writing some code. You're writing a program and you go to compile it, and there's a compile error, and you fix that error. And you go to compile it, and there's a compile error, and you fix that error. You go to compile it, and there's a compile error, and you fix that error, and you go to compile it, and you fix that error, and there's an error. And then you go to compile it, and it works. And then someone comes along with a new feature request, and you start over again. In just the same way we practice, we train, we cultivate mind. By being totally willing to have this experience, whatever it is. In fact, this moment's thought is not restricted to what we're thinking in terms of mental talk and image and emotional body sensation. In fact, as we examine, we notice that actually, as we see, there is thinking involved. We look out and we see with our eyes a screen or a person or a color. What can we see? Red, for example, or brown or black. There's thinking involved in that. If we see an object, there's thinking involved. If we see a form that has any definition whatsoever, thinking is involved. If we hear a sound and we understand what it is, in any way, thinking is involved. If we smell an odor, there's thinking involved in that. We're aware that's a pleasant odor, an unpleasant odor, that's tea or coffee or whatever it is, thinking is involved. In fact, this whole experience, everything that we're doing, all of our senses is manifesting in mind. And so with respect to all of this, with respect to this entire experiential universe, this entire realm of perception, we practice in such a way that we don't cling to any of it. We don't fight with any of it. This moment's thought is the entire universe. We allow that to come freely. We allow it to go freely. We do this with this body and breath by attending to this moment's breath, this moment of body. If there's any sense of being findable, if there's any trace, if there's any feeling associated with it, any image associated with it, any sound associated with it, any sense associated with it that we can point to, that we can find, that we can label, that is not this moment's breath. That happened in the past. We're watching a movie about the past. But we simply return to this moment's breath. How to stay with this moment's breath. That's the question. How to come to this moment's breath and how to stay with this moment's breath. Prior to thinking, prior to feeling, prior to perceiving. What is that? What is this? Directly explore this. You can't understand it, but you can practice it. Again and again. Letting go of the senses. Letting go of forms. Letting go of sounds. Letting go of odors. Letting go of flavors. Letting go of tactile sensations. Letting go of thoughts. Returning to this moment of breath. Not about fighting with or getting rid of any of it. To let go of this means that we totally love it. We totally allow, we totally receive it. We totally trust whatever it is. Whoever arises, whatever arises, say yes. Take it with open arms. Whoever dies, whatever ends, say yes to that end, to that death. Let it go with open arms. Again, it's training. We miss. Miss. And find out how to hit the target in this moment. How not to miss in this moment. Explore it directly, energetically, using the breath, using the body. Just this. Try this, try that. Explore, experiment, have fun, engage, connect, love. This is how you do it. This is how we die. This is how we live. Taking this standard, we have no choice left but to accept whatever arises. We do this practice with the clear standard, the clear goal of totally escaping from everything in order to totally allow everything. We have no idea how we're going to do that. And so finally, we can stop thinking it through and planning it out and coming up with the right experience to have. And so we can take this step. We can have this experience, the one that's right in front of us at this moment. So whoever arises, whatever experience you have, whoever you are right now, that is the person who has come. That's your student. That's who you're here to serve, who you're here to love. So love that person, serve that person. What does that person need? What does that person struggle with? What does that person believe? What do they care about? What do they want? How old are they? What's their name? We get to know this person, whoever it is. This person, this experience, this is the one. This is the one that's come to us. This is exactly the one that we in this moment are stuck on. And so this is exactly the one that we in this moment work through with love. That love can't be written down. It isn't a formula. It isn't a plan. It isn't a prescription. It's a relationship. It's a connection. It's a creative process. It's a collaborative process. We meet this person, we explore, we find out what's going on here. And keep on having the sense that in order to do this path, I need to be a different person. The person who's come right now is mistaken, and therefore I need to be a different person. They say, bad person. You're wrong. Go away. Well, it doesn't work so well. It's not that that doesn't work at all. There's a use in it. It's not without use, but it doesn't work so well. And so we explore what does work. And find out what does work. We get to know this person. We may spend a long time with them. They may be around for a long time. At a certain point, though, we can be sure about one thing. They die. Wherever we are right now dies. But why not get to know them? Why not love them? No risk. The significance of this practice is simply that we give ourselves nothing better to do. set up conditions so that there's nothing else to do. See this, discern it so clearly that the wisdom already in it is apparent. You see that this moment arising, whatever it is just suffering arising. See that to let go of this moment, whatever it is, to let it die, is just the end of suffering. Good. Compassion means that we allow this person to die. Love this person so totally, so completely, so unreservedly that they are allowed to die. Being allowed to die means that they are allowed to live. No longer fighting against their nature means that we allow them, allow this person to live. By not preventing the end of this experience, we stop preventing this experience. Okay, well, thank you for practicing with me and for, again, listening to all of that. I apologize for mistakes I've made or confusion I've produced, and now we have a chance to talk about whatever it is that's come up. So anyone's welcome to share, ask questions, talk about your experience, give other reports, the time for us to discuss and connect as a community. And silence is also perfectly welcome. Silence is kind of nice. Hear the traffic outside a little bit. Hi, I think you'll have to unmute. I can't really hear you. Oh, interesting. Renee, maybe there's an issue with the audio.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, there's an issue then, I think, with Christine's audio. Maybe unplug your earbuds. Take your earbuds out, unplug them. Try that. No?
We also have, sorry, it was ambiguous. We also have Renee over here. Renee is Chucky's wife, although thank you for that. That was very helpful. Mom.
I got it. It'll be Renee or Mom.
Yeah, I guess we'll go with that for today at least.
I'm down. That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. We have nods in agreement over here. Well, I hope we can get to the root of this. Is it Christine?
She might have dropped off and might maybe left.
It seems like she's there. She's unmuted. And she did come onto the screen when she started talking. So something was working there. But we have to, let's keep working on it. I think this is worth just trying to get through. Let's try saying something now. Yeah, it's so interesting. It looks like your microphone is moving. What is going on?
She's decided to put it in chat.
Okay, great. Oh, fantastic. Wonderful. Yes, so you're sharing your favorite note of the day, which is don't cling to anything, anywhere, in any way. Thank you. Excellent. Yeah. And it's kind of nice, it rhymes. You're sharing note of the day, don't cling to anything, anywhere, in any way. It's kind of nice. It rhymes. Great. Yes, Donnie says you like the part about loving this person. Yeah. Yeah, me too. Really.
I was entertained by the politician
The politician?
who, when he saw what the community was going to deliver on, wanted the last seat.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Prince Jeta is a very shrewd and clever politician, as you say. Yeah. The person, so Chucky says this politician, when he saw what the community was going to deliver on, decided that he wanted the last seat. I think it's nice. It's very good. we can appreciate his role in all of it. It's really
Sure.
fantastic, you know. Yeah. Yeah.
Jōshin, I love the way you tell stories.
Oh, thank
So
you.
I appreciate that. Two things came up for me that I'll take a chance in just talking about. I've been having a lot of physical pain
Mm,
and don't really like meditating with it.
yeah.
And it hits me the worst at night when I feel vulnerable, and I don't yet want to take medication for this. I could, but I don't. And so that's one thing. The other thing is, in my house here, while you were talking and while we were meditating, there was a conversation going on over there on the stairs.
Mm,
My 30-year-old son lives with us and doesn't talk to us much. And
mm,
here was my chance to hear what's going on with him. And I practiced letting go of that. That was very hard. Just like I could feel the part of me that wants so much to be close to him and to know what's going on. And so that's why I put the earphones on, so that I wouldn't hear it so much. But I don't even know what else to say about that, but that's a part I don't like to look at very much.
mhm, mhm.
And yet sometimes when he does talk to me, I get worn out. So, and I wish, so it's kind of I don't know, this idea of being close to people and what I need to do. I think about that too with Thanksgiving coming and a few people that are going to come over, how much I want out of it.
Mm,
And I want to be in relationship to the one who wants that, but I don't want to want it so much that the experience distorts. And so I think those are my comments. I guess I have one last thing to say too.
mhm.
And the kind of talk you gave today is the kind of talk that any of my teachers would give. They would just they would use different language.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and it's really nice because
Yeah.
I know that's really my resonance that I was tuning into. But then I thought about letting go of my resonance also, letting that die. I don't want that to die.
Yeah.
Part of my identity is resonating with teachers and communities. Do I let that die too?
Yeah,
Yeah.
really. You have to let it manifest if you want it to die. And you have to let it die if you want it to manifest.
I guess that's what you were saying.
So, uh, yeah, I had that sense actually just recently. I cultivated, I think, skillfully and due to wisdom, although also confusion, an aversion towards anything associated with myself during my solo retreat. So I would try not to look at myself in the mirror. I would obviously do my best not to think about myself. I would, in many ways, in many different, just in every way I could, do my best to just stay away from anything labeled self. And I think that was skillful. For that practice period, that was appropriate and useful and good. I think it was helpful. But at the end of the day, self, the word self or the word me is, Forel says, just a label for the part of the universe about which we are most confused. Part of the universe about which we have the most amount of delusion. And so yesterday, I was shaving and the aversion came up, and then I just had this sense, wait, why can't I appreciate the beauty of this being? I spent all day long appreciating the beauty of all these beings, all these students who came here to train and throw themselves into this retreat to realize their life's purpose, live their vow. spent all this time looking at them, loving them, caring for them, appreciating them as they are. Why not do that for this one too? I just want to do that for this one too. And so I just did that. I looked at this person right here in the middle and I said, yep, you're beautiful. You're really doing this. You are not wrong. You're not mistaken. And so in the end, if we're avoiding anyone anywhere, then that's still ego. It's still selfishness. So your resonance isn't different. It isn't special. So trust it so completely that you let it die.
Thank you.
Yeah. There was a lot more in there about the pain and the connection with your son, and very rich shares as is common. I really appreciate. So maybe briefly on the pain, yeah. Especially at night, as you say,
Yeah.
I feel vulnerable. I feel like anyone can come at me from any direction. Kind of metaphorically speaking, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very challenging at night.
Yeah. Yep. So, yeah. That's true. It's good sometimes to just face that lack of being able to do anything about it. Just, it's not okay and I can't do anything about that. And maybe we'll just punt on Thanksgiving for now. Yeah, it's coming up, so you'll have to go through it. So that's the good news. Can't get away from it. Yeah, just take it seriously as an opportunity for training. And trust the relationships, the people that come to wipe off the next layer, purify you yet more fully. There's something on the screen now. Great. How do you not cling to pain? We gave you one example of how to do that earlier in the talk. So one way you don't cling to pain is you just say, oh my God, ow. Okay. There's a natural response to pain and you just give into that response. The pain comes and, oh, it's just terrible. You just acknowledge that. You just give into that. You just say, oh. Just give into this. No, this is not okay. So that's one way to do it. There are many others. You can practice returning to the breath. You can practice noticing the pain in great detail. So attend to it as closely and completely as possible. You can explore connecting the breath to the pain by breathing into it. You're actually directing the breath into that part of your body, letting the breath massage it. And these all sort of help each other out. So as you massage it, it may be that the pain actually intensifies rather than decreasing. And so as that happens, you just say, ow. You just, oh, ow. Have you ever gotten a massage from someone who really goes at it? Can't quite see you. Maybe there's a way to have Christine. I think she's on to the right of Pam up there. Is there a way that we could have her in the center for a little bit? Okay, great. That's a little better. Oh, perfect. So you ever gotten a really good massage? Yeah. So it can get to be like that. You know, you get a good massage, someone is really digging into you. They're going to really, really go for it. And they're actually going to kind of hurt you. You know, it's going to be painful. And yet the whole time you're like, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You know, they're digging into parts of you that you didn't think could be dug into. And you're just like, oh, great. Oh, this is so great. I didn't know I had that part. Ow, my
Yeah.
ow. It can be like that. So you're doing this, you're just sitting here and you're breathing into the pain, and the breath is massaging the pain. It's not something that you have to construct, it just is happening. And as that's happening, your body is getting broken up. It's getting worked through. It's getting massaged. It's getting kneaded. It's getting torn. And I don't know how to describe it. You're sort of churning it. And there's actually a kind of a pleasant aspect to that. Sort of like, if you're going through that and you are able to stay with that churning, that shifting, that impermanence, that moment to moment rising and falling, you're staying with it, you're staying with it, you're staying with it. And this is actually satisfying. It's actually purifying. It's like God is giving you a massage. It's just, whoa, and you're not trying to prevent it. And so this pain just fills your entire body. There's nowhere to hold on. It goes beyond your body. And then each next moment, you don't know how you're going to do it, but you just somehow, you're riding it, you're riding it, you're riding it. Wow. So that's a direction anyway of not clinging to pain. I don't know if that was useful at all, in the sense that there's still some confusion. So maybe if there's anything else you'd like to say or ask about that into the chat, I'm happy to continue on that thread. Okay, well, we'll keep going for now, but if you think of anything else or say anything else, I'm happy to come back. That anyway is what I came to. It's not the only way, it's probably not a good way or the best way, but it's what I found that worked for me. So.
Hi, Jōshin.
Hi, Dad.
So I wanted to give you a report from last weekend's. There was how much I'm really enjoying physical experience, especially of see, hear, feel in nature, especially on bicycling. And Monday, I was in a situation where I felt like my body just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And it came to yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
And it really became a new labeling or noting technique.
Yeah.
That was just thrilling.
Yeah, exactly.
To go through this series of pain and just things went to a level of freshness and richness.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it turned out that somebody called somebody needing help.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, this is interrupting me.
Yeah.
And it was like, no, you're saying yes.
Yeah.
And that turned into be a very, very rich experience as well, too.
Exactly.
So I noticed today, and especially when you talk about leg pain, because I'm so trying to stay on the cushion with my feet crossed. But my right leg is just having a hard time with that.
Yep.
And
yeah,
I just don't know if I'm ready to do the breakthrough pain thing on something like that. It's challenging.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm listening to you.
Yeah. We have someone pointing at their left knee over here. Just so you know. So yeah, my right leg is also quite a challenge. So it may run in the family. I just demonstrated another answer as you were starting to ask your question to Christine's question. How do you not cling to pain? Because I just shifted posture. So I was sitting in full lotus and I switched to different sitting posture. So you can do that too.
Yeah, it's really part of loving ourselves. And it was interesting because your sister brought up a really lovely idea when I was kvetching to her about accumulated pain. And she said, well, it's nice to listen to your body.
Mm-hmm.
It could be talking to you. And so I do the cushion when I can, and when I can't, I go to the chair. Anyway.
Yeah, exactly. There's the significance of this saying yes to whatever it is that arises. It doesn't matter. Whatever experience comes, you just have to trust that. Whatever self arises, you just have to trust that. Doesn't mean you buy in, but you have to trust it.
Yeah.
You have to trust that experience.
It was really a very loving talk today with lots and lots of heart. So thank you.
Thank you for saying so. Thank you for your role in bringing that heart into the world. Seems that Mom has a question.
I am just chiming in with so much joy in what you have brought back from your retreat. So much resonance for Pam wanting to know what's going on with her 30-year-old son and resisting with everything she has, and staying with my 30-something-year-old son instead.
Yeah. Yeah, we should talk soon.
Did you? Yeah, you popped in on that, right? And your dad and I did the day long with Shinzen, which ended at 1:30 your time, so we could take care of the dog who's like, play with me. I'm so freaking bored. What is happening? And I would say a highlight of that day long with him was the teaching that he always comes up with, one way or another, which is say yes. Whatever it is, get with the program immediately. Yeah. Say yes. And that feels to me like what you are bringing again and again. Say yes, let go. Say yes, let go. And I am so deeply moved and grateful for your practice, for everyone there supporting you, and for this Sangha we have here on screen.
Yeah, Forel says enlightenment is that which nobody disagrees with. So if anyone disagrees with it, it's not enlightenment. I think it's helpful to look at it in that way. Thank you. Yeah. Thanks for pointing out the consonants, the harmony.
It's my version of the tennis player.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe I'll chime in real quick I'm a 31-year-old son who's hiding from his mom with all of you. It's a number of things coming up.
Yeah.
This part feels really silly and like not a very Buddhistic thing to say, but I just think your mom has really cool hair, and I just
That's true. Yeah. Can't disagree. That's true.
close to enlightenment.
Yeah. Yeah.
I appreciated when Richard made the link with last week's practice, because I do sense like a resonance between the way you invited us into practice last week and this week, but I'm also kind of awed by the seemingly inexhaustible number of ways to be invited into practice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what's with me, I was sensing into whether to express this, because I feel I fall into paradox as soon as I'm tempted to kind of give an image or a metaphor that feels apt, which is having the sense of that if a source that was shining light, if you're going the speed of light, there's nothing emitting from it. And that was coming up for me in some ways at certain moments during the practice, and then at certain moments the need for that would kind of fall away.
Yeah.
And there's almost this sense like, well, as soon as I'm playing with the image, it's that there's the gap between the light.
Yeah.
And then I notice that and say that feels apt, and then it's another finger pointing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Just kind of caught in that.
Yeah. Yeah. Paradox, it's natural as we try to express this. You're using words, so here we are. It's dualistic, and so it's going to be missing the entire universe. So fine, just do it anyway. Out of great compassion, we are willing to say something. Or not. We don't say anything at all. So, yeah, well expressed. Appreciate the description, the metaphor. It's a good way of talking about it. And also appreciate the way it just comes alive. Anything we can say about it, the residue that's left behind is just a shadow. It's a poem about it.
And thank you for the practice.
Yeah, thank you. Nice to be here with you. Seems like we have a couple of things in the chat. Wow, we have a bunch of things in the chat. Let's try and, is there a way to scroll up a little bit and see what, a little bit more. Okay, great. So Donnie said, if you were to offer a prayer to the sun, what would you say? Thank you. I would say thank you. And Google would say that. And I'm not going to look at what Google offered right now, but we can trust that perhaps it's part of a prayer to the sun. Pam said, that's what I'm doing at night with regard to this being massaged by the pain point, I believe. If not
Actually, it was, I am saying, ow, this hurts a lot, but I was feeling badly about that. So I'm going to enjoy that tonight. Ow, this hurts. It hurts. I think it's never going to stop. It feels good to say that. So I feel like I got permission.
Good.
Thank you.
Great. Wonderful. Where is Willow? Willow is at Maple right now. Everyone at Willow is at Maple. They're all in Vermont. I believe they're all on retreat up there. So are you. So very exciting, which is what Renee said in the chat in response. Thank you for the time after these meditations. It helps my hours, days, and weeks after we meet and learn from this practice. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for bringing what you bring. Appreciate it. It's from Christine. Kathleen says, I too am grateful for this Sangha. Thank you all for sharing your time today. Thank you, Kathleen. Thank you all. Yeah, thank you. So we have just a few minutes left. And again, Oak is on retreat right now. So they're all striving for a breakthrough. They're burning or burning for the burning, as the case may be. And so if you like, and only if you like. So last week I put Jōshin on the spot, asking him to make an announcement without any preparation. And he's in the training, so he just kind of has to say yes. He doesn't have to say yes, he can say no. But he's in the training, and so he's just, it's gonna be presented in a somewhat different way. You know, it's gonna be more like, Jōshin, can you do this? This week though, if you like, and it's purely optional, and only if you want to, and sincerely on all of those points, we'd like to make an announcement about Oak, what we need on the responsibility side. If not, then yeah, good.
We should fill my buffer before we do that.
Yeah, we'll do that. Great. So we will have Chucky here in silent support today. Very much appreciated. So I'll just briefly say we at Oak have entered a new stage. So we have a leadership team now. There are 4 of us who've fully committed to making Oak work, whatever that means. And we have found a property in San Francisco that we think would work for our long-term permanent home in the Bay Area. So I, anyway, believe that the stars are aligning on this one. The spirits, the ancestors are making things happen. This is clear to me in any case. Jōshin wouldn't talk about it that way, and that's good. That's why he's, oh, can you not hear? Uh-oh, there's no audio? Oh, you can hear, okay, great, never mind, sorry. So Jōshin wouldn't talk about it in this way. He's the director. He's gonna talk about it in terms of numbers, projections, statistics, prospectuses, plans, missions, goals. Very down to earth, very helpful. He's written impressive and clear documentation about it. I, as the teacher, am gonna say that God is trying to make this happen, and I'm doing my best not to interfere with it. So if you or anyone you know, or anyone you know who knows someone else, would like to help out with this in any way, I strongly encourage you to do that. So in particular, we're looking for people to loan or give us money so that we can make an offer on the place. Need to raise a substantial amount, but I think it's doable given our connections. And anything helps. So if you give $1, $5, $10, $100, $1,000, $5,000, $1 million, any of those numbers helps enormously. If you give us $1 and you form a connection and relationship with us that way, that helps. If you give us a prayer, if you say a prayer that we will get this space, if it's God's will, that helps. That really helps. If you spend some time each day considering and wondering, how are they going to do it? How are they going to pull it off? Is there a way I can help them pull it off? That really helps. So I encourage you and entreat you to do that. Help out in any way that you want to help out, any way that seems fit to help out. And get in touch if you know anyone or are anyone who wants to be involved in either loaning or gifting us some financial resources to close this and open the next chapter of Oak. I'd really appreciate it. So, it's a responsibility announcement given by the awakening person today, because here we are. And it's again really, really nice to be with you all, and I hope that you take good care. And I hope to see you again soon.
Goodbye, everyone.
Take care, everyone. Have a good week.
Bye.
Thank you, Jōshin.
Thank you. Yeah, really nice to see you.
Bye for now.
Bye for now.
Peace be with you.
Peace be with you. All right. I suppose we can end the meeting.
Sure. Do you have to do anything differently with the recording?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think we'll just get the recording. That's my hope anyway.